Alright, my friends, we are back through the power of videography. You guys don't even know that I have been gone for a couple days. This has been sitting on the bench. I'm actually dying to get this thing done because this is very much my style of quad, with the small, short fuselage and the nice wide arms. I think this one is going to work out fantastic. Not exactly sure where we left off. I think we just put the flight controller and plugged that in, yeah. But before we go any further, let's go ahead and, before we solder up the vista and the crossfire, let's go ahead and fire this bad boy up and make sure nothing even fries on it first, right? So here we go. Oh, we're gonna have to program that ESC, I think. Anyway, actually I know, we'll get it all set up. Anyway, I've noticed that these dual gyro boards take a little longer for that second doo-doo to come through. I guess it's the second gyro initializing or whatever. It looks like we're good to go. No smoke. The capacitor must be on right way because it didn't explode in my face. So let's carry on. Alright, so I think next, obviously we're getting really close now. We got to solder this on, put our crossfire on. I have this from another build. This is my little custom-made crossfire antenna that I just used the stock in. Well, actually, I will put a video card up in the corner. Not sure which is going to be the top corner. But if you see the little video card pop up, that's the little video link to how I make these antennas out of the stock antenna with a straw and some heat shrink. So, let's see here. This needs to go underneath there. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. This is why I like to leave these, I didn't stick these down yet, and this is why I like that little extra slack being on the motor wires, in case we got to do something like this. Uh-oh. Losing my little spacers. See, we jumped the gun. We should have put that in there first. Where's the other spacer? Where'd it go? Done disappeared. Well, I know there was 4 of them at one time. It's got to be around here somewhere. Anyway, let's get this thing on there first. And we'll find the spacer. I have more of them. It doesn't matter that much. This screw needs to go back through the hole a little bit, and it's being stubborn. By God. So that we can slip the antenna over the top of it. Smush it down under the ESC. Actually, I actually want to do something here. So oh, there's that little spacer. It flew over there. Golden. What I like to do when I stick this underneath there, just to keep everything from moving around, take a little piece of this here double-sided sticky stuff. This is always a pain to get the backing off from. Oh, look at that. I got lucky. Boom. And we're going to put that right at the base where the two antennas come together here, so that when we stick it in there it's not going to move around. Get everything organized under here. This will also help stick down the little wires to this capacitor and hold it from moving around. Got her in the middle there. And we'll just squish her down like so. And then this will just wrap around and sit on there like that, and we'll solder the wires to the flight controller, and we'll be golden. Push our little bolts back up through there, beating the hell out of this camera. Get all our little spacers back on there. Slide our flight controller back on there. Golden. Just enough room to get our nuts on there and squish everything down. That is beautiful. Hopefully we're going to have plenty of room for our camera. Yeah, absolutely. No problems there. No sweat there whatsoever. Alright, so there's that. So now I guess we will go ahead and solder up the turn the old trusty soldering iron on. And we'll go ahead and solder up the vista and the crossfire. And so we are going to solder this to the VTX switch. I have this board upside down. That was one of the big reasons for me choosing this board, was to be able to use that VTX switch to turn the Vista on and off. I think it will be a neat little feature in emergencies. So right here, if you guys can see this, is the power selection for your VTX output. You have 5 volt and you have VBAT. Since we're using the Vista, I'm going to choose the VBAT. Beat the camera some more. I'm going to choose the VBAT output for that. So let me get my eyeballs on it here with my light. Tin, wipe. Doing these little jumpers can be a little tricky sometimes. I'll tell you what, they are freaking tiny. So we gotta get it just at the right angle. A little blob of solder in there. Looks like we got her. Even though there's a little peak on that solder. We got a nice bridge across there, and it's not touching the other pad. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. We're gonna let it ride. Bothers me having a little peak on there, but it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Leave it alone, Dave. Leave it alone. So now, got these guys here. Let's go ahead and strip these wires from the Vista and get them tinned. Spin them up a little fuzz. What's wrong, wifey?
Just a bad nap. Not a successful nap.
Not a successful nap?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost bedtime now.
I have the aftermath of a bad nap.
Did you have a bad dream?
It's not a bad dream, it's just the duration of the time is very, very embarrassing.
You napped too long or too short?
In the middle!
In the middle?
Yeah.
Ah, so that's why it was an unsuccessful nap?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we have RX, and if you remember, we said yellow for TX. So we're going to tin these little pads up. RX, TX, video positive, video negative. And obviously this isn't going to work until we get in beta flight and activate our switch. Give these a little twirl so they look all nice and neat. Because that's what the pros do. They twirl their wires, man. That's how you make it look professional. Back over here. Positive. Big ass fingers. When you do the twirl, once you get one stuck on there, then they all hang out instead of flipping out of the way. As you can see. And yellow is going to be our TX. Get back under there. We want you to look professional. Spin that around there. I believe these are right. I believe we said yellow for T. Yellow is R on the Vista, so T on the board. We'll find out when we plug it in. If not, we'll reverse the wires. It ain't no big deal. It ain't going to hurt nothing. Just ain't going to work. Now we inspect our work very closely. Make sure we didn't jump any pads. I like to use the tip of my little tongs here and feel in between there, and they're good to go. Now we do the crossfire. So on the crossfire, obviously we have the ground, the positive, and then we'll have TX out, RX out. So this last one always goes to TX. I guess we can go ahead and use this, basically this full length of wire, because it can curl up in there a little bit and have a little relief. No big deal. We can deal with that. Just do our pro spin on there so it looks all nice and neat. So we're going to stick her down on there, and then it'll just have a little pigtail coming off of there. In case it gets on a tree branch or pulled or something, or we have to do something else, or we decide to move this to another build, or we break it. It's always good to leave a little bit of relief wire, in my opinion, but y'all can do whatever the fuck you want to do. So we got ground, voltage, RX, TX. Boom. And we're gonna have to use our tweezers for this. My fat fingers don't fit in there too well. Ground, positive, RX, Come here. And once again, I do believe I have these in the right order. We will find out if I have signal when I plug it into Betaflight. So that is that. Everything that needs to be soldered is now soldered. Let's plug it in again. Make sure our receiver has power. I'm not sure if the Vista is going to have power yet or not, because we haven't done the activated the switch in Betaflight. I don't know if it's pre-activated or not. May or may not be. We'll find out right now. No smoke. That is good. The Vista does have power, so that is good. So we'll set that switch up later. This little guy here is just going to zippy tie to the top. Camera's going to go under there. Let's unpower this before we start monkeying around and cross something up. I actually think I'm going to run this camera cable under the flight controller also, just to keep it from flopping out in the wind somewhere, catching a propeller or a ninja branch or whatever, so on and so forth. That's that. Dang, she's looking sexy. Looking sexy, boy. Alright, so now we gotta put this stupid camera thing together, which I am not really a fan of, as you guys know. Maybe I'd be a bigger fan if it was milled aluminum, but I just don't like. It's kind of fiddly. It'd be just fine just putting a standoff in there with a couple of frickin' whatchamajigger mounts. So I'm gonna guess the wording goes up like that. You can always flip the camera later if need be. Maybe I will flip the camera. So that the wire comes out of the top. Instead of being squished down in there in the bottom. I don't know, let's get these things together here and check it out. So we have our two cheeks here. And they will go on. They only go on one way, on one side, to fit in the little cutout correctly. That way? Gotta be. Yeah. Right? No, it doesn't feel right. I'm trying some. Ah, there we go. That's the side we want. Like so. Because we got to make sure we put this on the right way. As you can see, the carbon sticks up above the thing right there. And then there's a little slot that it goes into right there. So that's how we want it. Just like so. Alright. We've determined that. I believe these are going to be... These longer ones here are the ones they want us to use for the M2x11s, or what we're going to use for the standoff that goes under the chin. Which I like the idea of having those longer screws in that chin standoff to give it a little more stability. Plus it's got to go all the way through all this crap, right? So we'll slip that screw in there, slip this guy on there. Twist this dude on a little bit. It's not happy. Why is it not happy? Why is it not sitting in there the way it's supposed to? Really that touchy? It's not going in there flush. I like tight tolerances. Hopefully it squeezes in there. Let me screw it down. It's not going down in there. Let's give it a little squish. There it goes. Didn't really take any pressure. For some reason it just popped in there all by itself. Okay then. Still not really flush in there though. Hey, great, I scratched it. I guess it's close enough. Once we squish everything together, it should go in there, I would hope. I would think. See, now this is kind of weird. Like I was saying about this carbon. Like we have weave on this side, right? But there's no weave on that side. Is it just resin? Or is it laminated with something and just has a little sheet of carbon on the outside of it? I don't really know for sure. It seems a little suspicious to me. Which I would rather pay $10 more for the frame, personally, and be sure that everything is good, solid, good carbon fiber. Diatone, so don't cut any corners on this. But you can see, let me see here. Well, if you look right, this is a recessed cutout, and if you look here, there is carbon there, so maybe they just cut down to the resin or something. Because like this outside is a carbon sheet, so is it just carbon laminated over something else? I don't know for sure. You would think there would be a weave on the next sheet down, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm all for using a better lightweight material if it's feasible, but I also want the strength and durability and quality and whatnot. Right. See, this whole little camera cage is a little fiddly for my taste. Said I would be happy with just a couple standoffs. The M2x5s are what we're going to mount this bad boy up with. I'd be happy with just a couple standoffs and some little camera mount things. You know, that just slide onto the standoffs, and then you can put whatever size camera you want in there. You can squeeze in a bigger camera or a micro camera or whatever and just squeeze the little 3D printed pieces together, that few millimeters that you need or whatever, instead of having to be all super precise. But hey, what do I know? I'm no freaking engineer. I'm just a dude trying to fly a quad. Nobody special. Get this guy in there. I don't want to screw them down all the way, so I have a little play to get them all lined up. I'll actually leave these loose until I get the top on too. So that I have a little wiggle in here to get the top plate lined up. I guess I should have secured these guys down first. So now this cage is going to be in the way, but oh well. We can handle it. Ain't nothing but a thing, but a chicken wing on a string. See, like that one's not lining up now. That's why we need a little wiggle room. That's why we don't tighten them down until we get them all in. I started in there. Cool, cool. They seem to be okay now that they're in those slots in the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and secure this stuff down before we stick the camera in, so that it's not a pain in the ass later. I'm going to use a little piece of this here double-sided stuff again. And stick it on there, and then throw a zippy tie over the top of it. When you're zippy tying down these crossfires, nanos, be gentle. You don't need to cinch the zippy tie down on top of it. In fact, you can almost just get away with the tape itself, but I like to just put a loose zippy tie on top of it as a little added bonus. But if you cinch the zippy tie down tight on there, as with just about anything, a VTX or whatever, you risk knocking off a component. And you're like, what the hell doesn't my crossfire work? They sold me this piece of shit crossfire, it doesn't work. Well, start me a ticket, where the hell's Mike Chin at? That son of a bitch. Goddamn trap, he's selling me this junk. Well, it's your own damn fault for knocking the thing off because you fucking Godzilla'd a zippy tie over the top of it. Godzilla'd. So we'll run the zippy tie through these nice handy slots they made for us down here in the bottom. We already have the double-sided tape on there. So like I said, we don't need to cinch this down hard. We just want to keep things from moving around in there. A little extra impact resistance for when we crash, because we will crash. That's a for sure. The other thing we can go ahead and get out of the way is put these nuts up on here. These nuts. Actually gonna go about it like this here. There we go. Because of my big fingers. Dang, that one's melted. Wonder where that one came from. Just hold it flat on top of there. Get the screw started. pull her down in there. Nice, nice. Looking good, fellas, I'll tell you what. And again, this is all rubber mounted and steel bolts going into plastic nuts. You don't need to Godzilla it down on there. I like to go just to where I see the rubbers start to compress so that it's got a little spring back so that it holds the nut. Puts a little pressure, back pressure on the nut to keep it where it should be so they don't just vibrate off. Just how she squishes. That's all you need. That's all you need right there.
Maybe. It's not nighttime.
Wait.
Why are you still here, buddy?
Alright, so let's see where this camera wire is at. I guess we will go with it on the bottom. And I'm going to guess that the words being upright means that that's the top. Said you can flip it over afterwards, but how long do these screws need to be? They gave us those tiny ones, and I have a ton of screws. You can flip it over later. But I'm gonna leave it as is with the wire coming out of the bottom because there's plenty of clearance, and that way it'll be also be a little more protected, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know nothing. What do I do with them little screws? Here we go. M2x3. Put the little camera in there. Ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? Alright, this can be a little bit of a pain in the butt too. The Nebula. Alright, so we can see how this is made here. So it can slide back and forth in there for bigger cameras, because this is actually this is supposed to be for an analog. So you can slide it forward or back, and then it has little adjustment screws right there if you want to put the 2 screws in. Another slot up there. I guess that's for 2 screws to move it back and forth. I don't really know. We're going to get the Nebula in here, hopefully. We'll get it in there. This is only supposed to be we'll just stick them in there a little bit for now and then adjust the camera later. Now this is only supposed to be 19mm for an analog cam, not 20mm, but there's quite a bit of space in there, I must say. I would say you could probably jam a full-size camera in there. Full-size Vista cam. I don't have one handy here to try, but I bet you can. Let's see the little hole right there. Alright. So let's see if the top plate fits on those little slots now that the camera's squished that together. Yes, it does. Fits like a glove. Yes, sirree. We're looking good. Put these rear standoffs on. These are, it calls for 6mm, but I have a few of these spare 8s. So I'm going to stick the 8s in here. It's going to add a 0.25 of a gram over the 6s, but it will give us a little more beef in those rear standoffs. We'll zippy tie that on there. I think that is it. Put our battery lead on there. A little holder deal. Holder thing. A little weird. They're not really. These little camera slots are not really snapping in like they feel like they should. Did I put them on backwards? No, that's right. I guess we just push them in there and then squish that up a little bit. So like I said, I am not a fan of all these tiny screws and nonsense associated with this camera mount. It looks cute. We'll give it that. Gives a wee bit more camera room in there, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't have done it like that. That's all I got to say about that. Alright, so now that we got all 4 of them in there, or all 8 I should say, we'll go ahead and cinch them all down. Again, go easy with this cast aluminum and steel screws, or you will strip it out in a freaking heartbeat. They give you a spare one of everything else except the cam cheeks. So if you strip one of these out, you're SOL.
They do have a thread lock on them, so they're not going to vibrate out too easily. There's no reason to put 50 pounds of freaking torque on them. Okay, these are the M6s that you're actually supposed to use in the standoffs. I put the 8s on the bottom back there, Because we're doing a custom build here, people. By God.
Again, like I mentioned before, the hexes in here aren't very deep at all. So make sure, I gotta make sure I'm good and square putting these in, or they will strip out fairly easily.
I can see. We'll zippy tie down this later. I'm not going to do that as part of the video. I'm sorry you guys are watching me put all these screws in, but I want to get a final weight on this thing and see where we're at. So that's the big curiosity spot, right? See if we got in the zone. We've got to be under 650.
That's going to be the key to how durable it really is. Okay, we're done. Let's, I did decide I'm going to use this camera mount for now. Let's break out the scale. Let's see what we got. So here is the quad itself. Oh, let me do it this way so you guys can see the numbers, hopefully. So we are at 332 right there. Let's add a battery and a battery strap. Battery strap. That gives us a 537. Looking good. And the GoPro. It's a broken GoPro, but good enough. 600. So props are going to give us another 20. Not even 20. 615, but we still got the prop nuts. So we're going to go with 620. You guys want me to put the nuts on there? All in these little bags still. Let's just put one on there and we can estimate. It's 615.7. And the nut, it is now 616.4. So the nut weighs 0.7 of a gram. So yeah, we're still under 620. Even with all four nuts. That is fucking fantastic. That is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. Nice and light. That is the perfect weight for me. Anywhere, most of my builds are about 640, but anywhere from 600 to 650 I can deal with. 620, 625 is like the perfect weight and feel for me. All right, guys, so there's that. I'm going to plug her into Betaflight and all that stuff. Get everything all hooked up and good to go. And the next time we will take the, well, I don't know if it'll be the next video or not, but soon enough, we're going to take this thing for a rip, tater chip, and I will let you know. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Hope you didn't get too bored, and peace and chicken grease. Wait, one more thing before we go. Let's compare it to the, what gives air? Hold on. Come on now. Camera's being stubborn. Let's compare it to the DJI version here. And as you can see, the fuselage, like the arms are almost the same, but the fuselage is significantly smaller. Now I think they might have done that to try to keep the props out of view, because you can see these arms on the DJI version are behind it a little more. But I mean, there is a ton of real estate in there that I don't know what anyone would use all that for. I mean, all I did was put a capacitor and the crossfire in there. So, I'm not really a fan of the huge, giant, long fuselages myself. Like, they could have done away with all that real estate and shifted the arms and everything back and made the fuselage a little smaller, in my opinion. So this would have been a little bit lighter and a little more nimble. Shits and giggles, let's throw it on the scale too, huh? In comparison. So right there, we're already at 420. Throw on a battery. We're at 620. Throw on a GoPro. We are at 683, which is a little bit lighter with that 3D printed mount than using this, and it's probably because of that big bolt in there that holds this together. So that 3D printed mount did lighten it up by about 10 grams, but that's still 64 grams heavier than this. That's like a whole GoPro Sessions heavier than this one. All right, so anyway, there's that. Just an afterthought. Thought you guys might be interested in. Okay, now we're done. Bye.